Hello guys, hope you guys are excited for Season 3 of Lost Ark. This video will cover Season 3 general progression. It includes most asked questions from my live streams and my personal tips. Unless there are unique patches in the West, this guide will give basic guidance to all types of players, including new and returning ones. There will be multiple videos to cover this too. Please note that some of the information may be different based on the server's market situation and personal goals you may have with your Lost Ark journey. This video will cover the basics of Season 3 and progression beyond iLevel 1620. If you reach this iLevel, you're able to do Curzan related story quests, which is the main story quest to start Season 3. I believe the South Curzan main story will take about 2 hours. After that, finishing North Curzan, which is a new update, which is a little longer than an hour, will let you start Season 3 content. You can access the new Alt-Q UI. You will see this often to access most of your content. The first thing you should do is enter Kanuat Fortress. Kanuat Fortress will drop your new T4 gear that you can transfer to. You can run this 3 times a day, and you are guaranteed at least one box where you can select any gear and a random chance to drop more pieces. So if you have the worst luck in the world, it will take you 6 days to gather all pieces. But if you have the best luck in the world, you can finish your set in 1 day. Make sure to keep your boxes till the end as wildcards because you don't know what the additional drops will be. From here, based on what kind of player you are, there are multiple choices. There are so many questions about this, so details aside, just remember this one thing. If you transfer to T4 gear, you instantly gain 20 eye levels on that piece, but you cannot go back to T3 on that gear piece. There is this additional system called Advanced Honing, where you can get up to 20 additional eye levels. T3 gear requires T3 materials, but if your gear is T4, it requires T4 materials. It's not really a good system, but make sure to be careful before deciding to transfer. Even activating Advanced Hone can cost you T4 materials, T4 shards, and silver. Advanced Hone is unlockable if you defeat Echidna and use its reward tokens. It's a iLevel 1620 raid on normal, and hard mode is 1640 in Korea that provides T4 materials. I believe the West is 1630 right now, but it could change in the future. Don't stress out too much on this because other than shards and solars, you can also convert T3 and T4 materials with the 5:1 ratio. You can partially transfer gears to meet iLevel goals to progress both tiers. I transferred pieces that I had Advanced Hone to plus 20 since they're done, but I didn't transfer plus 10 Advanced Hone gears on purpose. Honing the transfer gear is relatively easy due to higher honing percentage. So my advice for all this is to have transferring as a last resort because raids like Theomine and under provide T3 materials. Making something like this is super simple on the spreadsheet. It's just an average from adding all 6 pieces of the armor pieces. First of all, think of it as steps. 0 to plus 10 Advanced Hone is significantly cheaper than plus 10 to plus 20 Advanced Hone. If I happen to full plus 10 Advanced Hones, so if I transfer these 3 pieces, it'll be 1650 each. I will be 1640 already. Therefore, since I didn't transfer the 3 pieces, it lets me utilize both T3 materials from weekly raids and T4 materials from dailies to reach next item level goals of 1660 at a much more efficient way. For some of you guys that are wondering, 1640 and 1660 Chaos Dungeon, there's a bit of shard differences, but I don't think it's like a major big difference for you to rush to that certain eye level. And as long as you're 1640, you'll be able to gather some T4 materials, which is what is really important. And hence, this is why most people recommend you to do at least plus 10 Advanced Hone because it's not that expensive if you have majority of the materials. For those of you who are new players and returning players that has no materials whatsoever on T3, and if you happen to be gatekept because you're more of a fresh player for Echidna, some of the Korean players and myself do suggest just transfer right away from 1620. By being a 1640 without Advanced Hone may feel like you're going to be stuck for a while, but to be honest, it is not as bad as you think. And since there are other assets that I'm going to talk about that you need to level, which is Elixirs and Transcendence, if you just get into Season 3 has so many benefits that it is actually okay for you to just transfer right away and take advantage of it. With that in mind, your next iLevel goals are 1640, 1660, 1670, 1680, and 1690. So based on what your goals are, try to reach these milestones by doing these transfers and doing these Advanced Hones. Let's go over the item levels one by one. 1640 will let you access Chaos Dungeon and Guardian raids to farm T4 materials to sell or use. Again, if you're a brand new player without any T3 materials and it's your main, at least in Korea, it is very wiseable to just transfer your gears to reach 1640 immediately to start farming T4 materials and start your progress. If it's an old character and you have lots of existing materials, some people do take extra time and Advanced Hone first before going over. iLevel 1660 will let you access the new raid Aegir in normal mode. You're also able to work on building Arc passive. Full relic accessories and egg gear ancient pieces will give you access to arc passive with T3 class engravings, with 2 side nodes if you reach max combat level with all side content finish, which is 77 points. I will talk more about arc passive in detail on the next video of this season 3 guide series. If you're diligent, even without any advanced hone, getting to this eye level is somewhat possible. You would need all gears to be plus 14. Look at my breaker as an example. If I want to push him to 1670 for a normal Brel, I need all gears to be plus 16. And if I want my breaker to be 1680, I would need to do plus 10 advanced hone with T4 materials from here. And the T4 efficient advanced honing time, based on the Korean market, is at plus 16. Eye level 1670 will let you access up to new Brelshaza raid in normal mode. Karma system will help you open up more enlightenment points, but it still won't be enough to activate T4 nodes until way more weeks later. Eye level 1680 will let you access the new egg gear raid in hard mode. You will obtain ancient pieces twice as fast, and you will be able to access arc passive builds at its full potential by opening T4 class nodes. 1690 is an eye level that lets you access the new Brelshaza raid in hard mode. Getting this high of eye level is probably challenging at this time, and it's a little bit too quick, but achieving this eye level will give you access to all endgame content. So for eye levels, as you can see, try to understand the system, see how much materials you can leverage, and try to have transfer as last resort based on your goals. Some new players do get stressed out too much from this due to gatekeeping and not having good experience interacting with other players for the endgame raids. Honestly, I do tell these people that they can simply come back later in the future since the developers are planning to add more solo modes as the game progresses. Some do play only up to solo mode and leave their character at 1640 to wait for next express seasons to grow their character easily. Okay, and before going forward, there is one critical thing to go over, especially for new players and returning players. There are 2 additional systems that gives you significant character power other than eye levels, and you do need to work on them when you're above eye level 1600, doing Voldy solo or party, and Theamine normal at eye level 1610. As I mentioned about stress, I think these systems will make a lot of new players quit, and it already has for Korea too, but I don't think it's going away anytime soon. First is Elixirs. I don't think anybody likes this. You can start acquiring elixirs when you finish Voldy's solo mode. Many various express events do provide additional elixir bottles to help you finish it up. I will try to explain the system as quick as I can. You have an elixir bottle, which can also be crafted. You have a catalyst, which is used as a token to transfuse. By talking to a mirror NPC, you will face 3 bozos that will bog your elixirs for you. First step is choose your 5 stats, which is randomly chosen from the 3. Feel free to read the text if you're wondering which stats you need. Quick tip, never use this reroll button at this time. Every step costs gold and catalyst, but event ones cost silver, so they're very valuable. In the latest patch, the elixir will let you choose the stats for the 5th line. You should choose the ones you need for your character. In this case, most people take set bonus or boss damage. When you choose your stats, you enter transfuse states. You can transfuse up to 14 times. The 3 bozos will tell you a choice, something like increase great success for transfuse for all. There are many different and chaotic options. You will need to select one and transfuse. If you press transfuse, you'll get a point from the 5 random stats, all 20% each unless adjusted. Stacking these points will yield level 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5 for that stat. These blue and purple stacks are basically their special traits. Purple stack goes up when they're not chosen, and blue stacks go up if you choose them multiple times. So if I choose middle again, 2 stacks of blue and 2 stacks of purple. If I choose blue again, 3 stacks of blue, and when the stacks are full, you get to have a special option. And these special options are usually very valuable. If the purple stack doesn't get selected for 6 times, they also turn into a special trait. And for those 6 stack stuff, they have a very chaotic option. For example, you have things like 0 to +4, but you don't get to choose them anymore. Well-known strategy with Event Elixir is reset. If you don't have a good start or good stats, you can select the same person 6 times and re-roll for a potential reset. Sometimes the reset doesn't appear, but if the reset does, you're in good shape. And since Event Elixirs cost silver, this is much better to do, but I don't recommend doing this on a gold elixir. When you have 3 transfuses left, you enter Sealing Stage. You have to throw away 3 of the stats to choose your 2 final stats. So I'm at Transfuse 4, and I'm going to enter Sealing Stage after this. A well-known strategy is to match 3 stacks of blue to activate Special Sealing. It's an option from 3 different things. Increasing 2 points on 2 different things, and a free turn. Most of the time, this is where you use your rerolls to get a free turn. And in this case, unfortunately, I didn't. And after 2 more Sealing Stages, you get to have your final elixir. So when you finish the elixir, you have the 2 stats left over. I have a level 5 set bonus and a level 1 weapon damage, which is 6 points total. You talk to the NPC again to apply the elixir to the gear. Make sure to not put it on the wrong piece. So the basic minigame is within the 5 stats you've chosen on the side. Based on what the bozos tell you, you get to increase points on them. And at the end, you will be deleting 3 out of the 5 stats to keep 2 out of 5 in the end. And if you're really lucky, 2 points can actually reach all the way up to 5, which would be a 5-5 elixir, and it gives you 10 points total. And if you actually have a 5-5 elixir, it is really easy for you to get a 40 set, because if you get a 5-5 here, you can have 2 points less on all the other pieces, something like a class piece. So I have a 4-2 on the gloves, but I can still get a 40 set because I have a 5-5. Additionally, this may be tedious, so I don't do it, but there are calculators out there that can help you choose efficient choices. It's in Lost Ark Nexus. I would focus on the algorithm being target 5+3 because you want these premium stats like set bonus, boss damage on shoulder, additional crit damage on pants to be level 5 to get the most damage output. The most recent express in Korea is called Hyper Awakening Express. This express is given a total 40 points in elixirs. So basically this box gives you a ready set elixir that is a 4-4, and that's 8 points, and 8 times 5 is 40. So you already get to have a 40 set, but the problem is the boss damage, it's not there. Chest could have reduced damage, pants could have additional damage or crit damage, and the glove and the helmet has this thing called a luck set where you have a 10% chance of resetting your skills cooldown. No one really uses it, but still what's more important here is you get a 40 set, and then within that 40 set you get additional elixir bottles, which is the silver one, to adjust your elixirs to the ones to your liking. Like you can work on your set bonus, you can work on your boss damages, and etc. So the reason why I'm talking about this is if elixir is very stressful for you, maybe in the future you can take a break and wait for this express to hit in the west, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen as well. So we'll see how it goes. Next, we have Transcendence, another minigame like system for the next power spike. This is also a system that most people don't like. It requires dark fires from Theomine raid, and you can transcend up to 7 levels per gear piece on the armor. Later on, there's also weapon transcendence that requires behemoth scales. If you interact with the Transcendence NPC, you'll be able to see your Transcendence progress. You can scroll through levels, and mouse overing them will show you how many flowers you got per level. Flowers essentially mean how perfectly you did that specific level. So at least 6 levels will need to be 3 flowers, with 1 being able to be 2 flowers. And if you're done with having 20 flowers, you get to have the full benefit of the Transcendence in that piece. You can equally work on Transcendence if you want, or work on specific pieces first. But for popular order, first you want level 3 on all pieces, which is 9 flowers total. Then work on chest at 7, pants, and then everything is pretty much the same. One thing that's pretty cool is if you transcend your pants early, you'll be able to do orange damage, which can help you during Theomine clone fights or specific gimmicks in the future raids, especially as a support. If you open up a Transcendence minigame using dark fires, there will be a bunch of gray tiles, and you'll have 2 cards for you to use, and a reroll button for each. Your goal is to delete all the tiles using these cards in a limited amount of turns. So in this case, level 4 of chest, you need to destroy all the gray tiles within 5 turns. For those of you who are wondering about these purple tiles, if you touch them, what happens is it generates 3 tiles, and you can't really select them. This particular, a very popular card, the Inferno, it does 100% in the center and does 50% in a large radius. And for hail, this is the cross. All you need to do is highlight the cards to see what they actually do. Right after the first turn, you'll have 1 tile glowing. This 1 tile indicates a specific buff for each turn. There are 6 types of modifiers, and in order for you to activate them, you need to destroy this tile in this specific turn. So for an example, this particular tile gives me 1 reroll, so I'm going to destroy it with the risk of 50% generating 3 tiles. As you can see, since I touched the purple tile, it generated 3 tiles. And the next buff is the duplicate, which if you destroy the tile with my X, I get the X card back. As I said, there's 6 different modifiers, and something like Blessing, Enhancement, and Clone are used very often. Something like Relocation and Mystery are used for big RNG plays. Additionally, if you have 2 of the same cards, for example, I have the X card over here, if I reroll twice and get the X card, the cards add up together, and it's an enhanced card. An enhanced card makes all the probabilities to 100%. So technically, if I press this here, I would generate 6 tiles and deleting 4. But if you combine the card one more time, it's going to turn into a gold card. So for example, as you can see here, the gold card is going to ignore the purple tile, which is a really good card. So imagine if you had the fire, you enhance it 2 times, it's going to delete a bunch of tiles with ignoring the purple tile. The situations that makes this minigame possible for you to get a 3-star is when you get a lot of free turns, like this Blessing over here, or you're very lucky with the cards at the RNG to destroy the gray tiles with great cards. If you think it's impossible to finish with the 3-star or a 2-star, it is actually good to forfeit the progress and then start a new one. You would have to pay gold and mana crystals where you would need to craft it from the NPC. During events, the game is also going to give you a coupon where this is a free coupon for you to retry Transcendences. If you give up multiple times, there's this thing called an Elzoin Blessing. This is a pity system for Transcendence. If you don't get a 3-star for 4 tries, you get to have an Elzoin Blessing of rank 1. And what it does is usually the purple tiles turn into a gray tile for you so that it's much easier to destroy, and also you get one more reroll. This might be overwhelming for brand new players, so if you're stressed out by this, there's also an AI calculator that can help you make efficient decisions. The tedious part is you have to manually set up per turn, but at least you won't be able to make mistakes and take calculated risks. The AI also recommends you to give up earlier so you don't have to waste gold too, since stacking Elzoin's Blessing is more valuable for better odds. Elixirs and Transcendence impacts a huge power spike for your character. I don't know the exact math, but 40 set Elixirs should be about 16% difference and full Transcendence being another 16% difference, with weapon Transcendence being another 4 to 6% on top of that. And for support differences, it's actually much bigger. So not just eye level, you must finish these 2 power spikes before going further into your eye level goals. I believe weapon Transcendence can be slowed down a little bit for egg gear normal at eye level 1660, but anything beyond that, you should have everything finished. Now let's talk about daily activities and items in Season 3. The Chaos Dungeon Curzan Warfield is much quicker than the Season 2 Chaos Dungeon. You only need to do it once per day, and you have Betrayal and various buffs as default. I highly recommend utilizing the engraving support and stack up swiftness to spam skills to clear faster. The new Guardian will teach you a new universal mechanic in the game. It's called the Just Guard. When the bosses glow yellow, you're able to press G, which can be hotkeyed to something else. It works just like a parry system in Souls games. You only have one chance to press it, and you must press it at the right time. The Just Guard action works just like a spacebar. It can cancel into anything that is cancelable with a spacebar. This is one of my most favorite systems in the game. It's super satisfying to do this, and it will get more introduced later in the raids too. Most of Just Guard timings are when the bosses start moving, after emitting a yellow glow. Try to press it a little earlier than later too. As for the judgment of Just Guard, it's not based on the boss's body, it's based on the impact hitbox. As you can see here, during egg gear raid, the boss is behind me, but I need to face where his weapon hits the ground for Just Guard because the impact is a circle explosion in front of me. Let's quickly talk about the Guardian as well. You only need flares for this Guardian. It will fly up and down and have red telegraphs everywhere. Getting hit by him a lot will give you a debuff stack similar to Theomine. You take more damage where it can one-shot you sometimes. His frontal attacks are deadly due to lasers that can stun you. This is cleansable though. He has a simple mechanic, it happens twice in the fight, and when this mechanic starts, he'll always fly away and reposition. There will be series of lightnings, and he'll spawn a red electric orb in front of him. Then he will proceed to flash yellow for a potential Just Guard attack. The Just Guard timing is when he starts to roar a few seconds after the yellow flash. You will need to destroy these orbs on time, or his follow-up laser beam will blow it up for a wipe. The orb will be much bigger the second time doing this. The HP requirement for the orb is much higher too, so as long as everyone focuses on destroying the orb first, the Guardian is very easy to kill. Lastly, there's also another Just Guard pattern, where he will fly past you. The timing is when he turns around, so be sure to press it a little earlier and make sure to face him since the attack impact is on his face. There will be new item filters. To make it simple, just drag the minimum enlightenment points into max 433. If you do so, you'll be dismantling any accessories that are lower than 67 quality. I would suggest keeping these max enlightenment accessories in your storage, and I will probably explain this more in detail in the next video. As for stones, make sure you filter the ones you may need and you can cut them yourself or sell them. If you already have a good stone, you need to collect fragments from these T4 stones to upgrade your stone to T4. And from tier 3 to straight up to tier 4, it will cost 15k gold. If you don't have a tier 3 stone, freshly cutting a tier 4 stone is way better since the HP benefits are actual tier 4 stones. You don't need to upgrade them. The bonuses of stone in Season 3 is a little bit different. The increment starts from 6, 7, 9, and 10. 6 being level 1 and 10 being level 4. Basically, even having a 6/6 stone, it will give you a benefit of 3% additional damage from the engraving. As for stone efficiency, people say keen blunt and flat damage engravings are good enough. So instead of using peons to buy specific stones, I would suggest to slowly collect stones from your dailies and cut them for a potential 6/6 or higher. And remember, you can always send extra stones to your other characters so that they can cut them instead. As for supports, as long as you have an awakening stone at 6, you're okay to have anything on the second one. It's a preference, but drops of ether looks really good too. And this is because awakening stone gives you additional cooldown if you actually leveled it up to 6. As for amulets, unless you're critically in need of tripod levels, make sure you dismantle them. The reason why dismantling is very important is because you get fragments. Because you get gem fragments. There are assets you need to polish accessories, and early on, these fragments are really valuable for at least 2 months. You basically need 450 for ancient accessories if you polish yourself, or 60 for relics per piece. If you have multiple characters, you can send up to 20 accessories per day to your main character to store up extra fragments. This is a Season 3 accessory that I'm going to talk about in the next video as well. Basically, you will need to polish them for additional benefits, and you will cost gem fragments each level. As for gems, they will be tier 4 gems. Simply, you will need to transfer all your gems to tier 4, except the level 10 damage gem that impacts more than 24% of your damage pie. This is because tier 4 gems will provide attack power on top of the damage boost. Basically, a level 10 tier 3 gems are converted to a level 8 tier 4 gem. It's a 36% damage increase with a 0.8% bonus attack power. Some classes switch all, but some classes can keep the level 10 T3 gem. For those of you who are wondering why I switched, even though I'm a red gunnesser, this is because I tried blue and I switched to red back. But if you're a red gunnesser, you would not be switching level 10 gems on Surge Cannon and Charge Stinger. As for Una quests, I personally recommend focusing on Shard Una quests. The ones I recommend are 1 in Fleche, and the 1 in Voldes is really quick too. My main is still doing Shard Unas, but for ults, after I reach my eye level goals, I personally mix and match Leaf Stones and Shards. I basically have 2 Leaf Stones and 1 Shard Una. My Una choices are based on being the fastest instead of efficiency. So for example, the Voldes one that a lot of people do for Leaf Stones, really quick. Well, the Kurzam one, you will need to take a pose. But instead of taking a pose, it's actually more faster by just taking a screenshot. And this is because screenshots get stored in a temporary file and it gets deleted later. Unfortunately, the second screenshot Una quest that I usually do on my live stream, this is an anniversary island existing only in Korea. Perhaps you guys might get it in the future. Guild system is really important starting season 3 as well. It became so much easier to access the store because it's in a tab. And you gain Bloodstone naturally by just actively playing the game. So if you finish like a raid, if you finish a chaos dungeon, if you're doing life skills, it gives you Bloodstones automatically. Being in a guild level 25 plus also has an additional stock on tier 4 materials. So as you can see here, I have 2 slots of fragments, 2 slots of leaf stones, chaos and guardian stones on tier 4. So if possible, I would recommend to join a level 25 guild to obtain additional materials. And this is also including queue tickets too. Life skills also changed as well. I do have a detailed life skill video on my channel. But long story short, you can pretty much do any life skill to be able to craft fusion materials. Crafting the tier 4 fusion material will need tier 4 blue life skill materials with green and white materials. These exist already. And as for life skill powders, on the third tab, you can also buy tier 4 materials with the powder too. And the ratio is the same. And for those of you who are wondering where the mushroom is, I think the mushroom has converted into a powder, but I can't say that for sure. Also, one last quick thing, I didn't explain this on the last video, but don't forget to press the Prochyon Compass and do Field Boss and Chaos Gate. This is really important, especially the Field Boss, because the new Field Boss has a high enlightenment potion. You definitely need this for your arc passive build. It has been told that there is a pity system for this, and it's 6 weeks. With that, I will end the video here. The last video will cover advanced tips on building your arc passive and farming, hyper awakening, bracelets, and karma system. Since this would be aimed towards people who are above eye level 1660, ready for egg year, I would recommend it to veteran players. But feel free to take a look to see what's in store for you guys. Until then, if you have any additional specific questions, feel free to drop by my live stream and ask. As always, thanks everyone, and good luck. Bye bye.